Hello. Here's just going to be a short video, hopefully short, a video regarding just kind of clicking through Rubistar before y'all start working or discussing creating your very own rubric over your own product that you're thinking about for your future grade level and students and whatever content. But let's say I'm in here in Rubistar. First off, don't log in. You don't need to go to a saved rubric or anything or do a search. Let's just click on one of these little buttons down here at the bottom. And I'm going to just go ahead and do writing. Mainly, I'm choosing that one because a lot of you have seen a writing rubric for whenever you've had a teacher or maybe a professor want to show you what the expectations are for a written essay product. But let me go here and just say book jacket report just for fun. And whenever I click on that one, it comes up first off about, it says page will expire in 40 minutes. Well, don't worry about that. Right now, we're just clicking around for information. You do not need to log in or document any kind of name or your zip code or anything. Let's go down right here to your actual little, I guess you might want to call it grid, yes. Okay, notice right here at the top, it has for the categories, these are our categories here, our performance indicators. So we have 4, 3, 2, 1. Remember I had discussed about you always start with the best first. But we want to go ahead and give these also an adjective to describe in a word what was this column about. So if I scored anything within this one column, then maybe I'm exemplary, okay? You can say fantastic, you can say awesome. It's up to you. You're the teacher creating this. Okay. Well, maybe this next column, I'm going to say, well, okay, you're proficient. Okay. Then maybe in this next column, I'm going to say that, you could use proficient, and to me, satisfactory is kind of similar, but I'm just going to go ahead and say, all right, satisfactory. You can say good. Okay. Then in this last column, I'm just going to go ahead and say unsatisfactory. Or you could say needs improvement, right? So you can be, like, again, you're the teacher. You make sure you put the labels that you would. And of course, depending on your age of your students, you could, insert little smiley faces. I don't know if you can do that here. I have not tried, but you could put in little smiley faces and upside a frown face. And remember, this is for a 4-column. As you can tell, we have 4 columns here. And that's what I usually like to use, is at least 4 columns. But your minimum, what your expectations are, is minimal, is a 3-column. But this is still doable with using 4. Now, here's what I want to show you. Here is our criterion, our different categories that we are grading for within our paper. And for this particular rubric builder, is you can just say, okay, I want to look at grammar. Okay. Notice when I clicked it, it put it across the top here. It filled in the words for you. Now, note right here, if you don't find a category name that you like, you can build your own. But the whole purpose of this little demonstration is to show how you can build a rubric quickly. Now, when you're doing your assignment, I don't mind you searching and using this, but try not to just copy it. Make it your own, tweak it. This is just a online source that it doesn't know your students, doesn't know exactly how you want your product to end up looking like in the end. Okay, so take some time. Don't just kind of come in here and click. Just look at it. But notice what I also said earlier in the previous video, that we want to quantify as much as possible. Like, there are no mistakes. There is 1 mistake. There are 2 to 3 mistakes. There are more than 3 mistakes. Okay, so now we've got given these all points. Your points are always at the top, and whatever is in this column is what that points are worth. Okay, so let's do one more, and maybe I want to go ahead and look at the front cover. Okay. So includes an illustration, title of the book, and author's name. Font and colors fit the emotional content of the book. The graphic illustrates some scene from the book. Now, I just said, well, we need to quantify as much as possible. Well, we kind of did, because if we count illustration, title, author's name, font, colors, there it is. And notice here on the next level, that includes an illustration, title of the book, and author's name. But notice what's missing. Font and colors fit the emotional content of the book. So that was left out. Now, if you didn't want to have to rewrite this all over here, you could say that includes 4 of the 5 expectations, but it's always good to be very clear when you're talking to your students and wanting them to know how they rated it. Now here includes an illustration, title of the book, and author's name. Notice then from this level to here, they left out the graphic scene. Notice that? And then does not include illustration, title, and or author's name. So it just gotten more minimalistic, okay, to what the expectations were. So anyway, you can this particular grid, it goes on forever. Doesn't mean you fill in all of it. Okay, you don't fill in all of it, but because it all depends on what you want. But let's just do one more. Okay, is let's say I want to look at neatness and effort. Voila. The book jacket has no distracting errors, corrections, or erasures, and is easily read. It appears the student spent a lot of effort getting things just right. Now let's look at the level difference. The book jacket has almost, notice there, almost no distracting errors, corrections, or erasures, and is easily read. It appears the student worked hard on it. Notice just a little changes in wording that spent a lot of effort, or the student worked hard on it. The book jacket is fairly readable, but the quality is not too good on some parts. It looks like the student ran out of time or didn't take care of it. Very messy and hard to read. It looks like the student threw it together at the last minute without much care. Okay, so all these descriptions within each of these performance indicators lets the student know ahead of time, because remember, your rubric, you should give this to your students before they even start a project. Okay, now that's all I really wanted to show you in this clip, so that way you could just work on building your own. Okay, I will have a template for you, but again, like I said earlier, is you can just create your very own table in Microsoft Word and create the number of columns and rows that you need. Your first column will always have the criterion. What are the categories? What are you grading for? And in many authentic products, I mean, you can have as many criterion if you want, but around 5 to 7 is probably about a good number of what you're looking for within a product. And then again, you have your performance indicators that always run across the top of your grid. And I know I have in there, you have to have at least a minimum of 3 columns for your performance indicators. But again, 4 or 5 is good. Now, you don't need this very last column, points earned. You do not need that at all. Some teachers or instructors like to have that, but really when you're clicking on this, when you click on it, when you're actually grading it, or when you circle this port, you could add up your points. But this is, again, if you're doing this, I guess, more digitally, and there are forms where we could do that, but right now we're just worried about creating a paper one, and you circle in here, and when you total up, because this would be 4 points, 4 points, 4 points right now if I was grading this rubric. And so that's 4 times 3 is 12. So the highest that a student can earn on this particular rubric is 12 points, with the one we're looking at. But what if they had a 4, and then they made a 3, and then they made, let's say, another 3. So that's 6, that's 10 points. Now, we can't put 10 points in the grade, or even 12 points in the grade book. What do? Well, you have to take, if I earn 12, the 12 points here, 12 out of 12, to do the math. What is 12 divided by 12? Well, it's 1, and that just have to multiply by 100. that are, so that way it would be 100%, right? So that they would score 100 in the grade book. Here, it would be if this is a 4, 3, 3 is 10. Well, what is 10 out of 12? Okay, so you divide 10 divided by 12. And let me get out my handy dandy little phone calculator. And if I take this, and because I didn't get this set up a little sooner when I didn't think about it, is if I go ahead and put my calculator and I say 10 divided by 12, well, that makes an 83. But just have to move the decimal over 2 spots, or multiply times 100 to move your decimal at 83. What if I had unsatisfactory 2, 2, 2? That's 3 2's, so that's a 6. 6 divided by 12, well, we can see that it'd be 50. We put a 50 in the grade book, okay? Alrighty. So that is pretty much the nutshell on creating a rubric. You decide what you're going to be grading, and then think about all the possible ways you can grade that particular authentic assessment. If it's something maybe you're creating or building a barbecue pit, well, obviously your criterion may be on the beads of the weld or the strength of the weld. There's all types of things you can look for. If you are wanting to create a rubric on a presentation, or create, like for instance, it could be a PowerPoint presentation or an actual physical they're presenting to the class. Think of the different criterions you can be looking for in grading with that presentation. Now, would we create a rubric to complete a worksheet? Probably not. The worksheet, especially a math worksheet. Now, if I'm going to have something in math, maybe there's a geometry lesson and I had the students create an authentic product using the different types of geometric or three-dimensional figures like the triangle or a prism, things like that, and they come out with some kind of creation. So then maybe I'd create a rubric to be able to grade that. Okay? Alrighty. Well, we'll go ahead and stop this lesson today, or this particular video, and I hope you found it helpful. All right, bye.